Right. So, hello everyone. Welcome to the Forge Coffee Break episode 18. Wow, it's been a long time now. So this is the Forge Coffee Break. This is an open space for any topics and questions you have on Forge. We are running the Forge Accelerator Forbidden City this week, as you can see from my background. And in this week on the Forge Accelerator, we have a special team, the data visualization extension. Um, Today we're going to discuss some of those topics too. If that's a very interesting topic to talk. But before we go there, let me give you some time to raise up topics that you have. And I see I have a lot of people that are coming several times now. Welcome back. And let me open to you. If you have any things that you want to bring up, any topics.
Hello.
Hello. Hi, Mo. Who is this? Moses?
Yes.
Yes. Hi.
Um, I have a question. In terms of Forge credits, do we pay when we connect a data source to the data adapters? Will there be a charge for cloud credits? How will cloud credits work with the this API?
Okay, when you say data connectors, can you elaborate on that?
So right now we're using the synthetic data, but say we connect a SQL database that's actively feeding updated data to the app or an Azure data source. Do we consume cloud credits for consuming that data, or does it work another way?
So, okay, so you are talking about the data visualization extension,
Yes.
and when you connect data to that extension, right? So, on the for side, there is no cost on it. You are just is just streaming the data from the original source, Azure IoT sensors, and is streaming that to the Forge viewer. So everything is actually running on your side. So there is no there is no cost on the Forge side except the original model that was translated. You have to pay attention that you may have some costs on Azure. So you have to check with them what's the cost for transfer, etc. From the Azure side, not from the Autodesk side. So the only cost on the Forge side will be the model translation at the beginning of the process.
Got it. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you. Good question. And let's see if Michael is here. Is he probably coming soon? Cool. Who else?
Hey,
Yes.
oh,
Who's
I'd like to
this?
say thank you for the Forge Accelerator. It has been helpful.
Excellent.
Thank you,
Can you say your name, please?
Fabio.
Oh, Fabio. Nice meeting
Yeah,
you.
yeah. And we're enjoying and appreciating your help so much. I'd like to ask you a simple question. In in a Forge plugin, in the bundle DLL, just in case if you want to use HTTP client inside the plugin to download from any server, is it possible? And is it allowed?
So now you're talking about design automation, and
Oh
I
yeah.
suspect, yes, okay. So when you run design automation jobs, you have to run that design automation job with, it runs on an isolated environment, meaning that as you are running your work item, it cannot connect to external providers, right? So during that, so at the beginning, you specify this is the input, this is the script that I want to run. It will run on this isolated black box, and by the end of the process, we'll give you some output. Okay, so that said, there is a on progress call that you can call during the plugin execution. And that on progress call is the only way right now to call the external world. Right? On the on progress call, you can pass some data, but I believe it's limited to 4K. So it's just a way for you to do a heartbeat from design automation to your system, telling, okay, I'm moving, I'm almost done. So you can send some data, but not a lot of data. And this is actually a very interesting topic. How can we connect to the external world from design automation? We're investigating how to do it better. And if you have, I believe you have a work case, if you can send that to us, forge.help@autodesk.com, that will be very helpful for us to understand why and how you need to access the external world.
Thank you. Clear.
Yep, thank you. Hi, Money. Nice to see you again.
Hi, everyone.
I like the background from Benito. It's very it's very unique.
I love it. So, Augusto, I was gonna ask you really quick. You want me to ask Peter? Maybe he can join. I try to ping Michael, but I don't.
Yeah. Well, if you can text him, that would be great.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me get to the other things here. Any other questions? Any other topics? As I said, this is very open. You can, whatever topics you want to raise.
Hi, Augusto. I have a question. It's Zach.
Oh, hi, Zach.
It's about the Forge Viewer API,
Mm-hmm.
and it's about loading very large models using the Forge Viewer. I was wondering if there might be a way, I just haven't found it yet, to load only specific views from the Revit model, or load less of a 3D file instead of having to load all of the elements into the viewer at once.
Okay, so yeah, there is a way to do it. Let me share my screen. So before I move to that, let me just quickly show that to Fabio. He was asking about the on progress. So this blog post here shows how to do it. You can send some data from the on progress call, right? So that should be what you're looking for. So .com. Let me. So who was asking again? Zach, right? So viewer. And I forgot that I had to type Forge Viewer. There is a blog post. Yes, that's the one. So you can load just specific elements on your model. So this is a shaver, right? But you're just loading one piece of the external shelf of it. And essentially you have to pass a few attributes like, okay, I want to disable some extensions. I want to load specific DB IDs. I want to skip the property DB. And every time that we skip some of those properties, we're actually reducing the amount of data transferred and the amount of memory consumed by the viewer. So if that's what we're looking for, that's the blog post.
Yes, that helps me, Augusto. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks. Very good questions.
We got Peter here.
Oh, hi, Peter.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
Hi, Peter.
Bringing you to the spot. So
Yeah.
I think the interesting point about this week on the Forbidden City Accelerator is they focus on the Hyperion project or data visualization extensions. We did one of those events, one accelerator in December that was also focused on the data visualization extension, and now we're doing again. So we got some feedback in December, and we are redoing this now. If you haven't seen it, this sample should demonstrate how it works. So essentially you have, and please join the conversation here. So if you have anything, it shows how you can overlay. It's a very simplistic way of saying that you can overlay data on top of the viewer. And if that data is coming from IoT sensors, that's also quite unique. You can very easily show that data on top of your 3D models. Showing IoT data is one of the obvious things to do, but you can also show many different things, right? Let's say you have usage data, you have results of your analytics. Let's say this is not IoT, but this is you are measuring how much, how well prepared this area is for structural, HVAC, etc. So it's a very good way to show the data you have, and the extension is actually very powerful, overlaying that data on top of the viewer. And we are running this week. There is a lot of additional documentation, samples, and yeah, someone was going to say something.
A quick question, Augusto. This is Moses again. Would this work with offline models? I remember Forge had the offline model viewer procedure. Would there be any restriction there?
Let me leave to the experts.
Let's say that's a good question. It's not something we've explored, but I'm thinking based on how the database components are architected today, you should be able to leverage the same functionality even with offline models, right? Because today the way it works, and that is actually something I want to maybe touch upon if there's some, some free time during the coffee break. Something that I've seen some customers run into is with the association mechanism, right? That connects the devices to the different rooms, right? And the room information is already coming from the SVF file. So if you're already, let's say, I don't know which method specifically for offline viewing you mentioned, if this is something we discussed in the past, where using something like service workers, where you cache your SVF content basically, right, in your browser so that you can open your models when you're temporarily offline. The room information will be cached as well, right? So as long as you load the SVF with the room data, and you still have your, oh, sorry, I just noticed Benito's background. That's pretty neat. As long as you're still able to get the device, device models and the individual devices with their positions, right? They will still be matched with the individual rooms coming from your cached Forge model, right? So that would still work the same. But again, the question is, so you're thinking about a scenario where the Forge content would be cached, but the actual real-time, sorry, the real-time data would be, the real-time, like IoT data would still be coming from live sources. Is that the case?
Correct.
Okay.
And I just imagine some scenarios where we might want the app to be public facing, and maybe they don't have a login for Forge. So we would have the model visualization or the SVF be offline, so to speak, right? But the data and the sensors would still need to reach the data adapters.
That would be live. All right. Yeah, got it. Okay. Yeah. So that I don't see any problem with that. How having offline models, how it could interfere with the functionality provided by the database components. I think that would be doable.
Thank you.
Sure.
And I would like to add to that using models offline, it's something that we presented a few times in the past, how to work disconnected from the viewer. There are cases where this is a must-have, right? When you have completely disconnected experiences, but yeah. It's not something that we really recommend. Now, for instance, that we are moving to SVF2. The offline viewing is it's not supported because of the way the SVF2 is optimized. So it's using WebSockets to ensure that you have just the right amount of data that you need at that point. So it's always best to work connected online, especially in this case, right? You have the model coming from Autodesk, the IoT data coming from Azure. So everything is connected, and online is always the best way to do it. You get the latest goodies from Autodesk when you work connected and online.
Got it. Thank you. That makes sense.
Yeah, that's a very good point, because again, then you might, we discourage customers from going offline like this for like a longer period of time, basically, right? Because then you suddenly start losing on many of the goodies of being, in a cloud where, having all the data at the center, right? Once you start caching data elsewhere, you start running into all sorts of out of sync problems, right? So we typically, I think, like how we typically try and message our stand on, on this topic is, unless absolutely necessary, and by that we mean things like, customers working on government projects, right, where they absolutely must not share anything in a cloud, right? In those cases, yeah, we may work with the customers, help them figure out how to manage all their Forge models, outside of the Forge platform. But those are really like very, limited situations. Again, we're dealing with governmental restrictions and laws, right?
And
Like for data residency, for example.
in most cases, you just have to work disconnected for a period of time because you are going to where you don't have signal. So in that case, using something like this, by Peter described it really well here, how to use the browser to cache the information you need during a small period of time, and then when you come back online, the browser will sync back, right? So this is a way to work temporarily offline when needed, but the browser will manage that for you, so you don't have to worry, right? So that's actually the best way to do it if you're temporarily offline.
Right. You'll notice, Moses, that we're trying to stay away from any words offline in this blog post exactly for that reason, right? We call it disconnected workflows because, exactly as Augusto said, we at the same time, while again we're discouraging customers from caching anything out of the platform, at the same time we are aware that, especially in the AEC industry, there are situations where you maybe want to build an app that construction workers can bring on the construction site where there is no signal, right? Or no internet connectivity. So just for those cases where, again, you are just temporarily, that's the important word, temporarily offline or temporarily disconnected, right? For these situations, I think the solution that we describe here can serve pretty well, right? Because that way you can, again, cache models before you go on the construction site, and then you can make changes, capture those in this technology, something called service worker. You can basically intercept any attempts of your web application to make any requests, right? Online requests. You can intercept these and handle them in a custom way when you're disconnected. And then later on, when you get back online, you can sync all your changes back to the cloud if needed.
Got it. Thanks.
Sure. All right, Jaime, Augusto, are you guys taking screenshots? I think we should.
I'm getting the videos already.
I was like, I need to, when I was talking about that, I need to disable the gallery view, seeing all the different backgrounds here.
Oh yeah, people are getting very creative. So any other topics that you like to bring up? We discussed it, from data visualization to offline to design automation. Very broad audience today. What else?
So maybe
hey guys, Tolga here. Can I ask?
Hey.
Can I? Hey, since Petra is here, I'm gonna ask this: when is AR/VR toolkit gonna come out? We are waiting for that.
You still are. I mean, I was kind of hoping that maybe you would just try maybe that other approach that I've been kind of pushing, but no, I feel you. We don't have Cyril here, do we? So I mean, this feels like this feels like a topic for the next couple of years, right? For every accelerator we're gonna have. We don't have a date, right? I mean, I'm afraid that the message is still the same, and that is that we're looking for. Well, actually, there is a little bit of update, but unfortunately, to you guys, there's still nothing tangible. The situation is that we're looking for basically a new family for the project, right? Because again, this started as a side project of Cyril's, right? But now, I mean, over time, he started getting more and more responsibilities, and really, didn't really have as much time to work on the AR/VR toolkit anymore. That's why we started discussing these two options, right? Either find a new family for the project within Autodesk, a group that would, maintain it and take it further, or open source it. right? Now there is a group that has formed within Forge, and that is for now it's called Forge XR, right? That is basically an initiative to provide AR/VR more officially through Forge, and they're basically working with the AR/VR toolkit, right? So they're considering other approaches as well, still including Forge as the main platform, as the main source of bringing your designs into augmented reality or virtual reality. But this is still something that's in progress, right? So that Forge XR team looks like will become the new family for the toolkit project. But again, for now, there's just getting familiar with it and working with it internally. So that's about as much of an update as I can give you.
I mean, it's nice to hear that you're forming a team there because customers are waiting.
I know. So again, that's why, I mean, that was really right the main reason why I started that other alternative approach, right? For people who want to be able to, let's say, bring their designs into Unity, right? That's why I worked on that library, because that is not as easy to use and self-hosted solution as Cyril's AR/VR toolkit, right? But it's something, it's again, just a piece of code that you can host wherever you need, and you have complete control over, what it does and where it runs, right? So it's a little bit more work to get it to get it, set it up to do stuff for you. But at the same time, again, you have much more control, right? Which I think, I feel like that's been the main point of contention here, right? Because many of the problems that the AR/VR toolkit had were not really caused by the actual functionality, the translation functionality inside the project, but it was more by the hosting, right? And by scaling those, I think Cyril was using Fargate in AWS, right? To deploy to AWS. So yeah, so that's still something, again, in progress, I'd say. And in your case, unless there is something that you need specifically from the AR/VR toolkit, like other than, again, like bringing models to Unity, right? That's what it does today. Unless there is something special, some special feature of the toolkit, you might actually be able to reuse another project that I don't know if I've shared that one with you. So based on this library that I've just described, right, that's the Forge Convert Utilities. I also put together a web page. I call it just Forge Extra Derivatives. And the way that works is that you can submit, it works kind of like the AR/VR toolkit. Let me send you a link. And that one, that way you could actually use that web page.
That would be great.
To convert your Forge models into GLTF and load that into Unity instead, right? So it wouldn't be a direct single call saying, hey, AR/VR toolkit, load a mesh into my Unity project. It would be, hey, you, this other service, right? Give me a GLTF version of my Forge model, and then you load the GLTF into Unity, right? So let me find that link. And
so while you are looking for that, there was just a question that someone typed hi typed on the chat window. And if you want to open your mic, it's also great. He was asking when SVF2 will be ready to use for Forge Viewer. So SVF2 right now is on beta. And thanks to your everyone's great feedback, we are still making some fine-tuning adjustments. So it should go on production soon, but right now it's still in beta. You can use it, but it's still in beta. We're still fixing some minor things. And there was a question from William as well about some error message when opening the viewer. So that's good for everyone, right? Whenever you see a problem on the viewer, like unable to load or anything like that, open the console, so you should see the error message, and that's what actually what we need to understand what's going on. So yeah, William and everyone else, if you see a problem, open the console so you can see what's wrong there. Oh, Patrick, you shared the link on the
Yeah.
chat window, right? Okay, cool.
It's just a simple page that allows you to browse your BIM 360 or A360 content. And then for selected Forge models, you can select like a version of a specific model and then post-process it into this open GLTF format and other formats as well. So some
Just one
people
question. One question with that. Like, do you have the client ID in order to get it shared for custom integrations?
that's a good point. I think I'm not sure if it's there. I was thinking about adding like a help button.
Yeah, just
that would show
the
a
setup, the
file.
configuration setup stuff. I don't see it, so that's the reason I was asking.
Good point. Yeah, I don't think it's there. I'm pretty sure I'm sending it to the client-side JavaScript code, so it could be dug up. But yeah, it'd be easier to share it there. Share it somewhere in the UI. That's a good point. Oh, and also a tool guide to follow up on that. What I was saying, we've actually had some good discussion with the model derivative team, right, within Forge. We again collected some feedback from customers using this GLTF, this open GLTF format, and I think it looks like we've been able to convince the engineering team and the product owners of, on that side that it would be really important to provide this open output format apart from SVF, right? So this is also happening. Again, we don't have an ETA, but eventually the model derivative service will be able to basically output GLTFs natively, right? So in a way, you can think about this library, this Forge Convert utility, as a temporary workaround, right? That generates GLTF files for you by post-processing the Forge models, right? But eventually, let's say maybe a year from now, you'll be able to just take that library and just remove it from your pipeline entirely and start getting GLTFs directly from Forge.
Okay,
So,
sounds pretty nice.
Something to keep in mind.
The plan is, Petr, the plan is to sell as much as 3D catalogs as we can, so that every single customer of ours can say, hey, here's all of our stuff in the phone and in the iPad, and then they're gonna go, hey, let's put it in ER, just like that. So yeah, that's the plan.
Yep. Yeah. And again, GLTF opens a way to that quite nicely. Even actually, let me see. Can I share my screen real quick?
Yeah, sure.
All right. Let's see if I'm sharing the right one. Can you see my Chrome?
Yes.
Okay. Boom. Demo project. So this is, so I'm just using the standard Forge functionality to browse my hubs and projects. And let's see if any of these models are already built here. Oh, not this one. Okay, hold on a second.
Yeah, the default models from A360 will not work.
I need to use my other credentials. When I get there. I'm trying to find some working example. Yeah. I think this one I already, so this is kind of how it works, right? So I select one of the SVFs from Forge through the standard traversal. And then if this demo app doesn't find any other outputs available, it'll show you a button like, would you like to generate GLTF for this model, right? And I say yes. And then it generates all these other extra derivatives from that SVF file, right? But the cool part is, if any of you happen to have an iPhone, right? What I do here is I'm also experimenting with Usdz files, which can also be generated from the GLTF. And so basically, if you have an iPhone app, you can just start your camera app, point at this QR code. It'll point you to this website, to the Usdz file, and then you can basically open that V8 engine in the built-in AR application on your iPhone, and you can place that engine somewhere on the floor in your office and walk around it. Is it loading? Oh, there it is. So it loads, I think, initially as an image, and it shows like that little cube icon. And when you tap that icon, it'll turn it into the AR mode, right? So that kind of functionality you get almost for free as soon as you enter this GLTF ecosystem. Or if there are any other.
Yeah, it's really cool. It just works and it's there.
Yeah, right. And again, and Tolga, and you don't need any custom Unity app on your phone, right? This is just built into your iPhone. And I believe that Androids should, I don't have an Android device with me, but Android should have a similar capability, because there's actually another cool project by Google called Model Viewer. And that's actually something I'm using here, right? So for the little 3D preview, I'm using a component by Google called Model Viewer, which again is just built for quick viewing of GLTF files, right? And the cool part is, as far as I know, the Model Viewer component is also adding some kind of support for AR for both iOS and Android. So theoretically, if you built if you had like a web page with Model Viewer, it should show you a button to open it in AR, both on iOS and on Android. Right. So, and again, all of that functionality you get pretty much for free with that GLTF ecosystem. So if we're talking about catalogs and being able to very easily and quickly open 3D models on a smartphone, I mean, I think this would be the right way to go. Even like Windows, right, adopted this format as their main 3D format. So you can open PowerPoint and you can drag and drop your 3D files in the GLTF format into your PowerPoint presentations. I'm not sure if you
didn't know that.
Yeah, I don't have Windows here to show it to you, but yeah, I've tried. The only thing, I don't think that PowerPoint could handle like really complex like AEC models, right, on a PowerPoint slide. I was able to like drag and drop the rubber duck there and have it rotate on the slide. That was pretty well, but I'm not sure how well it scales.
It's always the power of having everyone using the same standard, right? It's
exactly.
Yeah.
I think so. Right, the format is maintained by Kronos, right, by the same group that takes care of OpenGL and WebGL and all the other standards, right? And they had this other format before called Collada. I'm not sure if people here are familiar with it. I think it was more common in automotive, right? So they tried establish that as the main 3D exchange format. Some things didn't work there, and I think they learned their lesson, right? And now GLTF is the next take at having like a 3D format that's about as popular as JPEG, right? So it's sort of like a JPEG for 3D. That's the aim of GLTF. That's why I think it's really important that we make it, a native output from Forge.
Cool. Thank you, Peter. Very, very, very nice. Glad that you were able to demo that to us. And with that, I think we are a few minutes over time. So let me switch back here. So today was the episode 18. So in 2 weeks, we're here again. Same link, same registration on April 7. Oh, Vitor, you raise a hand. You want to say something? Just open your mic.
I don't know if I have a time to just a little question about design automation. First of all, thank you, Augusto, to drive my Batmobile. You are doing it very well. And my question about design automation, I'm very newer in Forge because I'm essentially a desktop developer. but something that are helping me a lot is the extension for Visual Studio Code that made me able to see the bundles, the activity, and things like that. But my question is, there is some way to debug my code over there in Forge? Because since I send this as a bundle to be running in the Forge, there is no way to track my code to make breakpoints and things like that. If not, I think there is no way to do it. What is the best way to track my code?
So are you talking AutoCAD, Revit, Inventor?
Revit.
What's the engine? Revit. So there is
Yeah.
a how to debug Revit locally, how to debug Revit design automation. Let me search that for you. And that's the best way to do it. So you have to do it locally, actually. And well, you debug your code locally, and when it's ready, you move to design automation. On design automation, what I would really recommend you is to do a lot of outputs on your code, so you have some tracking of what's happening. And whenever you execute a work item, by the end of the execution, download the report and save that on your side. So you have a history of all the reports from your applications, so you can track what happened after that. So have some login on your side.
Yes.
The login will be the report. So when you execute them, so you know you can track what happened on each case. But on your development, to debug it locally, here's how to set up your local environment. There are a few tips and tricks, and there is a video showing how to do it locally. So yeah, let me share
Great.
this link. Where is it? Chat window, in chat window. How to debug Revit locally. Yeah, so that's how to do it. It's not, you cannot debug on design automation because the engine is sandboxed, but you can definitely debug locally. It's the exact same engine. And to summarize, have a lot of outputs. The way to do outputs, it's actually, there are different ways to do it, but if you check our Learn Forge tutorial, and I hope you use this one, and when there is on the section on how to prepare your plugin, and you go for Revit, and there is a function here that is called log trace. Essentially, the way to output to the design automation report is to system console write line, and that will go out on your report. So that will go out on your report, and by the end of the work item, you save the report for your record, so you have that on your side, and that's it. Remember, there is no way for you to get all the reports after. You have to save them as soon as you finish the work item, so you have that record for you.
Yeah, I'm trying to do the same here. I have the version of my plugin to desktop and another version for design automation. But sometimes something is totally different, because there in design automation, I have I haven't the same structure of directories that I have in my local machine, but I'm finding a ways to solve this problem too.
Yeah, so you have to do this sandboxing setup on your side. It's not a real sandbox, it's just a way to emulate that. So the video will show you how to do it, how to get the variables inside the environment. And if I move the video forward, you see somewhere in your code that you are setting this up. You have to set up the working environment here. There's a lot of variables that you have set up, and that should give you the working directory as is on design automation.
Oh,
Okay.
great. Very good. Thank you. That's my point.
Thank you. Thank you for your question. Very good. And like the background. So let me move to finishing. As I was mentioning, the next Forge Coffee Break will happen in 2 weeks, April 7. Same link, same time. So hope to see you there again. And yeah, thank you for joining today, and see you soon.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys. Bye.